The restaurant was buzzing with quiet laughter and the clinking of silverware, but for one little girl sitting by the window, the world felt painfully still. Her wheelchair sat slightly out of place, her small hands resting on her lap as she stared longingly at a bright yellow cake that wasn't even hers. The candles on it belonged to another child a few tables away, a girl her age, running around, blowing kisses as everyone cheered. Meanwhile, no one at this table had come to celebrate. The little girl's eyes glistened with something between wonder and heartbreak, the kind of look that could shatter even the hardest heart. If you believe in kindness, compassion, and the power of second chances, pause for a moment and like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Because today's story is not just about a birthday, it's about one act of love that changed 3 lives forever. Jamal was the restaurant's youngest waiter, a quiet, hard-working man with a smile that hid a world of struggle. He had been working double shifts for months, saving every penny to send to his mother back home. Every day, he wiped tables, carried trays, and faced silent stares that came not just from customers but from the manager, Mr. Collins, a man who believed that smiles should be reserved for people who could afford them. Jamal knew his place. He knew he didn't belong in a world of chandeliers and polished silver. But that day, everything changed. As Jamal cleared a nearby table, he noticed the little girl, her wheelchair barely reaching the tablecloth, her blonde hair catching the afternoon light. There was no laughter, no presents, no celebration. Just a woman beside her, her mother, trying to smile while hiding her pain behind polite small talk. The child's eyes followed the other birthday table, where the staff gathered to sing. When the song ended and the cheers faded, the little girl lowered her gaze, whispering something only her mother could hear. And that's when Jamal saw her lip tremble. Her name, he soon learned, was Lily. She had turned 8 that morning. Her mother, Grace, had promised her a special day, but their world had been falling apart since her husband's accident. Between medical bills and rent, even a small cake felt like a luxury they couldn't afford. They had come to the restaurant only because Grace had promised Lily one thing, that they'd at least go out and feel normal for an afternoon. But how do you explain to a child that normal isn't something money can buy? Jamal couldn't shake the sight of her lonely birthday table. He thought about his own little sister back home, the way she used to wait for him to return from work with a small bag of candy. He thought about how she, too, had once celebrated her birthday in silence after their father died. Maybe, he thought, he could do something small, something to make Lily smile. When no one was looking, Jamal sneaked into the kitchen. He didn't have much time or permission. He grabbed a plain sponge cake from the tray meant for another order, spread the frosting himself, and found a handful of yellow decorations from a leftover party earlier that day. His hands shook, not from fear, but from hope. He couldn't buy happiness, but maybe he could bake a memory. He placed 8 candles on top, one for every wish Lily deserved, and carried it out with a nervous grin. The dining room fell quiet. The other waiters paused, confused. The manager frowned from the corner. But Jamal didn't care. He walked straight to Lily's table and softly placed the cake in front of her. The candles flickered against her wide, disbelieving eyes. For a moment, Lily didn't speak. Then, slowly, her face lit up with the kind of smile that could melt a stone. Jamal pulled out a paper napkin, folded it into a small triangle, and gently placed it on her head like a party hat. The room around them seemed to fade away. Grace covered her mouth, tears brimming in her eyes. The restaurant, usually filled with the polite hush of wealthy customers, burst into gentle applause. But not everyone was smiling. Mr. Collins stormed forward, his jaw tight, his polished shoes clicking sharply against the marble floor. "What is this?" he hissed, his eyes on Jamal. "Did you get permission for this?" Jamal froze, his chest tightening. For a second, he thought he had ruined everything, that this act of kindness would cost him his job. But before he could speak, Lily's small voice broke the silence. "It's my birthday," she said, her voice soft but steady. he made it special. Something in that moment shifted. Even the stern manager stopped. The other diners, the ones who moments ago sat sipping wine in indifference, now looked at the child as if they, too, felt a piece of her joy. Grace reached across the table, holding Jamal's hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "You didn't just make her day. You gave her something I couldn't." Mr. Collins hesitated, torn between pride and decency. Then he looked around and saw the customers smiling, the staff nodding, the warmth spreading like sunlight through the room. With a deep sigh, he straightened his tie and muttered, "Carry on, Jamal." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something close. Lily blew out the candles, giggling as the flames vanished. The entire restaurant cheered, and Jamal laughed for the first time in weeks. For a few shining minutes, he wasn't just a waiter, he was the reason a little girl felt whole again. When the shift ended, Jamal went back to clearing tables. But then Grace approached him with an envelope. "I know you didn't do it for anything in return," she said softly. "But I want you to have this." Inside was a handwritten note and a photo of Lily, smiling with the cake. The note read, "To the man who reminded us what kindness looks like. Thank you for giving my daughter her first happy memory in a long time." Jamal didn't keep the money she had slipped in, he donated it to a local children's hospital under Lily's name. A week later, that small act made the local paper, and the restaurant received hundreds of letters praising the waiter who cared. Mr. Collins even called a staff meeting to thank Jamal publicly. But Jamal didn't need applause. The real reward was the next time Lily and Grace visited, this time, with a real cake, laughter, and hope that filled every corner of the room. Because sometimes, the smallest act of love becomes someone's brightest memory. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe, and help us spread more stories that prove kindness still exists in this world.